What's up, everybody? We alive. Yet another day above soil. Today we're going to continue on with a line of art that I've just started recently. The Old Line Collection. I call this the Old Line Collection because my home state of Maryland is also known as the Old Line State. So we're going to definitely do some artwork today. Get your paint, get your paint brushes, get your newspapers, get your cardboard. We're going to have some fun. This is going to be another 3-in-1, like many of the ones that you see behind me. And traditionally, what I like to do with my 3-in-1s is with the big picture, there's going to be both the plant and the animal, and most of the time the animal is interacting with the plant. And then the two smaller individual ones, you're going to have the animal and the plant. We're going to do the Baltimore Oriole and the acorn. And I'm doing this because the state bird of Maryland is the Baltimore Oriole, and the state tree is a white oak. So I hope y'all are ready, because we about to get into it. So while I'm doing this picture, I might as well talk to y'all a little bit about the culture of Maryland. You've got Baltimore. I pronounce it Baltimore. For those who come from outside of Maryland, or I would refer to y'all as outsiders, sorry, not sorry, you would probably pronounce it Baltimore. No, I pronounce it Baltimore. And I've pronounced it that way throughout my whole life. My mom and my dad pronounced it like that their whole lives, and many other people who live in Maryland have pronounced it Baltimore. And then you have the Baltimore Ravens, you have the Baltimore Orioles, you have Baltimore Street, you have Lord Baltimore. It's Baltimore, not Baltimore, Baltimore. Some people call it B-more. I've heard it called Balmer. Some call it the 410, Charm City, although it is debatable if Baltimore City is charming. And yes, this is coming from someone who came from Baltimore County. There's some people in Baltimore City who may think that the city is actually not charming, but maybe if you look a little bit into the finer details, you may find that there are some things about Baltimore that is in fact charming. I originally came from Reisterstown, Maryland. It's in Baltimore County. And as far as me introducing myself, if I'm introducing myself to a group of outsiders, I would usually say that I came from Baltimore, because that's how they associate me with things like the Baltimore Ravens, the Orioles, crabs, crab cakes, seafood, soft shell crabs. Try saying that 3 times fast. Old Bay, National Bohemian Beer, Utz Potato Chips, the Inner Harbor, Edgar Allan Poe, the Raven, all that kind of stuff. Even the Maryland flag. If I say that I came from Baltimore and people didn't come from Maryland, they'll be like, oh, okay, this is where you came from. However, if I'm introducing myself to people who came from Maryland, I would say I came from Reisterstown. Because they'll be like, oh, I know where that is. That's right off of 795. And then the conversation would just keep going. I'm not going to say that I came from Baltimore to someone who lives in Maryland, because they'll think that I came from Baltimore City. Or if I am introducing myself who legit came from Baltimore City, they're probably going to look at me all weird like, yeah, you didn't come from Baltimore. You came from someplace outside. And honestly, the culture of Baltimore County and Baltimore City, they may have their similarities, but they are indeed different. They have their own they have their different entities. They vote on different issues. They vote on different representatives in their governments. It's separate. It's still within the same state, but it is what it is. Food. Many people associate Maryland with crabs. Maryland blue crabs. So you would go to somebody's place on Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, and then you would have a couple bushels of crabs, and it would just permeate the smell of Old Bay or Old OJ seasoning. And you would see this whole big basket of crabs, and they just throw it on a picnic table with the Baltimore sun, and people would have at it. Some people eat them crabs with just their bare fingers. Some people eat crabs and they whack them with wooden mallets. Some people take a knife and they push it down with their hand. I like to use a wood mallet, but I use it a little bit conservatively so that I don't get shells in my crab meat. It is absolutely delicious. Then you also have soft shell crabs, where you take the crab, you throw it in a fryer. It's got to be battered, and of course you put Old Bay on that, and you put it within a brioche bun. You put it in some white bread. You put some chipotle mayo with the Old Bay in there. Some people use mustard, tomato, lettuce, onion, or I've seen a person put a crab cake on top of a soft shell crab in a crab cake sandwich. Oh, I swear to God, it's so good. Oh, did I mention Old Bay? Yeah, pretty much everybody in Maryland's going to have Old Bay in their pantry. Old Bay goes on everything. It goes on crabs. It goes on shrimp. It goes on chicken. It can go on turkey. It goes inside your Bloody Mary. It can go on crab dip. I've even made buffalo chicken dip for people who live in New York, specifically upstate New York. Yeah, I put Old Bay in it, and guess what? It was so good. I swear to God. Old Bay or mac and cheese. They even have a hot sauce with Old Bay in it. Or should I say, Old Bay with hot sauce in it. Is Old Bay spicy? It depends. I say that if you could stomach or if you could tolerate paprika, then Old Bay ain't spicy. It's just not. Call me crazy, call me kooky, but Old Bay is so good and it's so versatile. You just gotta have it. So that's all of the entrees that are out there for Maryland. There's definitely a lot of them out there, but I'm talking about what comes to mind when it comes to Maryland. You got burger cookies. Burger cookies are like a mini cake, and they're dipped or cloaked in a fudge chocolate. And it goes very well with milk or Bailey's Irish cream. Usually when I get burger cookies, I throw them in a Frigidaire overnight, and then when I'm ready to eat the burger cookies, I pop them out the Frigidaire, and then with my glass of milk or oat milk, almond milk, or Bailey's Irish cream, I would dip them in there, eat them. They are chef's kiss. So good. So good. And you also got Otterbein cookies. Otterbein cookies are the little thin, crisp cookies. They're sugar cookies. And the best flavor, like the absolute best flavor that they have, is lemon sugar cookies. So good. They go well with coffee or tea. There's a little bit more about the culture of Maryland, specifically driving. Now, when you go on the Interstate 695, also known as the Baltimore Beltway or just the Beltway, you're most likely going to need to pray to a higher power, because that road is treacherous. That is, if you just ain't ready. If you're not ready, you might as well skip 695 and go in some of the back roads to go where you are, because there are a lot of back roads, specifically on the west side of Baltimore County. So when I want to get on the Beltway, I start on 795. When I go on 785, I want to go to Glen Burnie or DC, I take a right at the fork when I get off of 795. If I want to go to like Towson Town Center, if I want to go to Pennsylvania, if I want to go to Dundalk, I make a left at the fork. So the speed limit on the Beltway is most of the time 65. However, I have seen people in the slow lane go 80, and they're just jetting past you. So you really gonna need to be on your P's and Q's if you're gonna get on the Baltimore Beltway. Sometimes you're gonna need to be aggressive yourself. No wonder insurance prices are really high in Maryland. I'm just saying. People do get reckless behind the wheel in Maryland, so you just better watch out. 495. That's the Beltway of DC. And they also got the JFX, or the Jones Falls Express. Now, when I was in the 495, I was young, and my mom would usually get on this if we wanted to go to PG County or Montgomery County if we wanted to see some of our family friends. And most of the time when I'm on 495, there's this big old building that looks like a castle. And when I see this, I can see my mom roll her eyes, and I'll be like, "We're going to Disneyland! Woo! Disneyland!" No, Drew, we're not going to Disneyland. That is the Mormon temple. But I want to go to Disneyland! No, Drew, we're not going to Disneyland. I'm not here to mock people who are Mormons, but that temple looks absolutely breathtaking as I see it above the hills, and it's this angelic white-looking building with a lot of tall towers jetting from the sides. It really is a sight for sore eyes. It looks very majestic. Then you also have different regions of Maryland. You've got Central Maryland, where you have Baltimore County, Baltimore City, bits and pieces of Carroll County, Howard County, Hereford County. And then you got Eastern Shore, Ocean City's there. It's a very popular location for those who are tourists. A lot of good beaches, a lot of good bars. Salisbury University, University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. That's also on the Eastern Shore. Southern Maryland, you've got Montgomery, PG County, which is pretty much like DC. A lot of rich black people live there. Then you also have a few other counties down there. It's pretty much their own thing. It's very swampy down there. You got Western Maryland. You got Garrett, Allegheny, Washington, Frederick, and Western Carroll County. A lot of those places in Western Maryland are very mountainous. It will remind you of West Virginia. Some people who live in Maryland joke that they should be a part of West Virginia because the culture there, it's very different. Here are my conclusions about Maryland. Maryland is not like any other state in the world or state in the United States. You really have to go there to experience it. Go to the Inner Harbor, go to Ocean City, visit the mountainous areas of Allegheny County, eat some of them crab cakes, go to a crab feast. And when you're at that crab feast, don't forget to crack open a can of Natty Boh. Get a pretzel with some crab dip. And don't forget about the Old Bay, because once you have Old Bay, you will be hooked. People will be looking at you like, you got a problem? No, but this Old Bay is just amazing. It definitely makes some friends. If you happen to go to a Ravens tailgate and you're a Steelers fan and you decide to wear your jersey, sorry, not sorry, but you're going to get mocked. If anything, you're probably going to start arguments. It's going to happen. Once you go to Maryland, it's kind of hard to leave Maryland. It really is. It was my home for a lot of my life, and I have learned a lot about myself and a lot about people from Maryland. When you get the chance, visit Maryland for a day, a week, 2 weeks. See how it is. It will change your life. So before we part ways and leave, I have a relatively important question for you. If you went to sleep tonight and you did not wake up the next day, would you truly be satisfied with the life that you lived? If your answer is no, then it's most definitely time to do some soul searching and think about some of the changes that you need to make within your life. I say this because there's a lot of things within our society that discriminate. Death, however, doesn't discriminate. I want to thank y'all for watching my content. If this is your first, second, third, or whatever time, subscribe, hit that button down below, become a member of the LDX family. We are still greatly on the road to 100 subscribers. And for your leisure, I'm also going to include the links to my Etsy and Instagram right within the description. I leave you all with much love, good spirits, and vibes. Until next time, I see y'all later. I'm out.